Darling in the Franxx is better than you think. A lot of anime elitists would lead you to think otherwise, and if I didn't have a mind on my own, I probably would too. But we're gonna hop into why I think it's better than you might think. And if you're an elitist watching, hi, how does it feel? But nonetheless, I'm gonna hop into some key things on why I think it was pretty damn good. The settings was interesting to me. A time in a postmodern world where resources are depleted and humans are living on plantations, basically domes. Family units are no longer necessary, and emotions were tossed to the wayside. These things gone in the name of efficiency, less variables, have people more organized, no more butting heads with different ideas or beliefs. A quote-unquote utopia, if you will. Which, by the way, was a pretty shitty utopia, where the only thing humans had to fear were these huge creatures that were mad because... Wait, what? They were mad because what? They were mad because humans were drilling magma, you say? Okay. Whatever. Yep, those dang humans and their need for hot liquids. But some kids in this story were raised for the sole purpose of fighting some of these Klaxosaurs in machines called the Franxx. You know what I'm talking about if you've watched it. Their whole goal is to be able to pilot a Franxx and defend the plantation. Actually, I'm just gonna keep calling it a dome. Yeah, the dome. But yeah, the story was pretty good. Having a peek into the future of a micromanaged world. A look into a real outcome of a possibility of a future with some fantasy throw on top. That by itself gave the story a lot of potential, and you can go a bunch of different ways with that, and I wish more animes would do something with a setting like that. And I know there are some, but you know what I mean. That's one aspect of the story that I just really liked. But in my opinion, if there are two things that go hand in hand that really carried the story, and this might be obvious, like really obvious, like bad obvious, but it's the relationship between Zero, 2, and Hero, along with their backstory. One of the most sappiest or saddest backstories revealed to us later in the show. Both of them almost mirrored each other, both being complete outcasts in different ways. Hero being a child prodigy who was constantly being poke prodded and tested because of his intellect and aptitude to be able to drive a Franxx. My bad, pilot a Franxx. This separated him from others, being that he was destined to be one of the best Franxx pilots. You know, kind of like a gifted person, how they have to go to like extra classes and stuff like that. That's basically how it was for him. While the other two be Frank. See what I did there? Frank. Anyway, on the other hand, you have Zero 2, basically being a lab experiment, designed to take the power of the Klaxosaur and use it on behalf of the humans, to, in their mind, turn the tables. But even with all this weight on her shoulders, all these things that they expected from her, she was treated horribly and inhumanely, like a tool, a weapon, even though she does indeed have feelings and a mind of her own. And both of these differences that separated them from their peers at their age, especially on Zero 2's part, because, I mean, she's not exactly human, brought them together in one of the most wholesome backstories in anime, even though neither of them could speak the same language at the time. Hero was the one that realized how messed up their lives were, regardless of his ignorance, not being taught one way or the other. His intuition knew. He simply decided this wasn't right on his own. But this judgment led to him breaking out a creature that he didn't know simply out of just seeing her, accidentally stumbling by because of his curiosity. He was a unique case of wanting to learn things on his own, as opposed to other kids just being told what to do and doing what they had to do. So they escaped, and they ran and they ran and they ran through the cold, through the snow, with nothing but a book. Even though, let's be honest, the two didn't make it that far before being captured and having their memories erased. And these scenes could bring tears to any man's eyes, and thus was the start of a mental bond that couldn't even be broken by scientists and machines, or at least fully broken anyways. And that altogether was a beautiful part of the show that just made it worth watching on its own. No matter what you think of the rest of the show, those backstories were something to behold. Also, the side characters and little mini plots, I mean, they were pretty cool. Ichigo liking Hero, and then you got the Mitsuru and Kokoro thing. They're decent, but I'm not trying to summarize the whole anime, okay? So my last point, the story progression is just good in my opinion, it really is. Yeah, and don't get it wrong, even for me, the introduction of aliens threw me for a loop, it really did. And the whole thing where, we're actually fighting the good guys that we thought were the bad guys the whole time. Yeah, it's a little cliche, but it's cliche because it works. So yeah, in the progression, you know, throughout the unveiling of the past, finding out they're being controlled, Hero and Zero 2 rediscovering their long lost love for each other was by itself just amazing. And you know what, that progression was fantastic. But really took the cake for me was the overarching theme that came after that. Reteaching the world about love, nature, appreciating each other, and how valuable life really is. That really just cemented the anime as memorable to me. But that's just how I looked at it from that perspective. Some people just look at it as characters alive, characters dead. Me, I was like, they're reteaching the world, man. This is cool. Giving back long lost things that were stolen by the aliens. And although it's not my favorite anime, and yes, I personally wish the ending went a little bit different, maybe more manga-like, and we could very well disagree on that, and that is fine. I would say this anime has gotten way more hate than it truly deserves. And it definitely has its strong points that would make me say yes if somebody asked me, should I watch this show? Absolutely you should. So yeah, those are a couple of my favorite things that make the show worth watching just by themselves. If you have something else, put it down in the comments below. How did you feel about the show? What did you mainly like about the show? Besides the Darling Ohio, I mean, that's always something to like about it. Anyways, it's Shriz, and this is why Darling in the Franxx was better than you think. Hope to catch you in another video.